This one was sent to CornyDriveThru. Excuse me, no, it wasn't. This one was sent on Twitter using the hashtag CornyDriveThru from Rory Melberg. He sent an article from...
Oh, now you're just making all these... You're the one making up all these weird names on NXT.
I have not made up a single name.
Melberg.
Rory Melberg on Twitter. 10 things you should know about AEW's Excalibur, an article from the Sportster. Are you interested in learning about Excalibur?
Not at all, but if it'll help this program along, I'll suffer under it.
So here are 10 things that you should know about AEW's Excalibur, Jim. Number 10, he worked for New Japan.
Oh my golly. I should know that because that's all he fucking talks about.
But actually, I don't know if it was as a wrestler. During his career, he has been able to work with New Japan, adding to their broadcasting team.
Oh.
Before AEW was created. This only enhanced his commentary work and now provided him with a greater knowledge.
Oh my.
Number 9, did you know that Excalibur co-founded Pro Wrestling Guerrilla?
I did know that, along with several other of the boys who figured, well, we can't get anybody else to book us, so we'll just run our own company and put ourselves on top.
Joey Ryan, one of the co-founders of Pro Wrestling Guerrilla.
In a barn in Reseda somewhere.
Did you know that Excalibur is a former wrestler?
Yes, he brings that up every once in a while, doesn't he? Just a time or two. He's a former wrestler who wrestled for the company that he co-founded and helped pay for.
Even though he is actually best known for his work behind the scenes and the commentary desk, Excalibur did spend time in the ring himself. He was able to have a solid career and at least learn the fundamentals in order to help establish his knowledge.
What the fuck? I've seen people been in wrestling school for 3 months that know the fundamentals better than... No, he worked for himself and his friends in their vanity play wrestling promotion. That is his career in wrestling.
But another thing you should know about him, who's his trainer?
I didn't know he had one, and I'm figuring that his trainer is probably in the Federal Witness Protection Program.
Well, he may be, because his trainer is Super Dragon. Of course, the two men became good friends over the years.
Who?
The Super Dragon.
The Super Dragon.
Or just Super Dragon, actually, I think. Not the Super Dragon, he is just Super Dragon.
He's not even the only one.
He's
not the Super Dragon, he's just a Super Dragon.
Apparently, they became Pro Wrestling Guerrilla Tag Team Champions together.
No, you're kidding.
At one point.
They won the belts in the company they started?
That's right. Another thing you should know is, why did Excalibur become a commentator? Jim, do you have any theory on why?
That's what I've been asking for so long now. Why?
While his in-ring career could have gone for longer than it did, Excalibur admitted the reason he called time...
That's what she said.
The reason he called time on wrestling was because of an accumulation of injuries and not getting to the level he wanted. However, because he was so passionate about the business, he wanted to stay involved. This is where commentary ended up being his next pursuit, which is something that ended up working out perfectly for him. Jim?
So basically... The summation of that is he was ill-equipped athletically to do this, and he got hurt, and he didn't get anywhere with it, and he figured he was going to kill himself, but he's still a mark, so he's going to do commentary over the play matches that his friends have instead of actually participating in them.
Another thing you should know about him, he was a tape trader. This is how he was able to learn about the world of wrestling. It took place via tape trading.
Apparently, he didn't study those tapes closely, because I was a tape trader too. And that's how you got to watch footage in those days before the YouTubes and things and such of that nature. But apparently, he didn't study too closely to his material.
Did you know that Excalibur was beaten by Kevin Steen's son?
What?
Wrestlers always share a close bond.
Steen's kid's like fucking 10 years old, isn't he?
I'm not sure the age. I really don't know anything about Kevin Steen's family, but wrestlers always share a close bond, and when someone begins to have a family, that is something that certainly strengthens that bond. During Excalibur's time working in DDT, he had a feud with Kevin Steen, one of the top stars. He cut a promo against Steen's son during that time, and it actually led to their storyline intensifying. Steen ended up hitting a trio of package pile drivers onto Excalibur, which then led to him putting his young son on top of him for the pinfall.
Good Lord. I'm sure they did. I have no doubt whatsoever that recount of those activities is completely accurate. That sounds like something everybody involved would do.
Another thing you should know about him, there's only 3 left.
Jesus Christ.
He's also been a solo commentator in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla without a commentating team with him.
Well, good for him.
Number 2.
Probably was the budget, but nevertheless.
You should know that he got advice from Jim Ross. When Excalibur joined... When Excalibur joined AEW...
Noises!
He was immediately given the chance to work with Jim Ross, who is one of the most legendary commentators of all time. Being together is something that has improved Excalibur's game, and that is down to the advice he received from JR. JR told Excalibur to slow down, telling him they are not paid by the hour, which is something he has taken on board throughout his time with the company. Slow down, you're not paid by the hour. Even if you went fast or slow, it doesn't matter if you're paid by the hour. What does that mean?
Say it by the word, I think is what he was trying to say there. But do you think that the first thing that JR said to him when he looked over at him wearing that fucking mask and a suit at the announce desk was, what's the deal with the fucking mask?
I actually believe him. I think the first thing Jim Ross says to anyone under the age of 50 is slow down.
Well, that's true, and he needed to. But I've got to think at some point, everybody has to look at him and just, if they're being obvious or being honest, has to go, what's the deal with the fucking mask, dude? Seriously. Nobody knows that you did all these things in this 10 things that we need to know about you, and nobody gives a shit.
Well, the final thing on this list, why does Excalibur wear the mask?
Oh!
One of the most confusing things that fans have wondered about him is why Excalibur wears a mask. It is certainly not unusual in the wrestling world, but it is for commentators. However, the reason behind it is that he's always worn one throughout his career. After he was influenced by certain masked wrestlers...
Wait a minute. It's like they're saying, well, he's been all over the world. He's Mil Mascaras. He's Rey Mysterio. He's the Destroyer. He's been all over the world. Millions and millions of people have seen him where he's always done this. No, he did it in his own little vanity project company in a barn in a suburb of Los Angeles for a brief period of time 15 years ago to absolutely no popular acclaim. And because he is convinced that he was a real wrestler, Pinocchio, he is foisting that mask off on the national television viewing audience. That's why. Is that what the rest of that thing says?
After he was influenced by certain masked wrestlers, and they don't name these certain wrestlers, he decided to wear one himself. That's something he has just opted to never change, as he believes that he can separate his wrestling world and non-wrestling world by whether or not he is wearing the mask.
Is this a foreign language website?
You know what? I don't think so. I don't think so. No, this is from an English-speaking country, apparently.
Well, there you have it. Everything we didn't want to know about excrement.
Well, when it comes to excrement, you may want to get in your car and drive away, but what if you have a problem? What if you have a part that's missing or a part that you can't find a good place to get it? Jim, we need to be able to help out the listeners with all these crazy problems.
Oh, goddamn. I need to be able to help you out with your transitions when you're moving to a sponsor spot. Well, speaking of excrement, look no further than our next sponsor.
Oh, give me a break.
All the shit you might ever want to have, bro. I'll tell you what. You know, there's a lot of shit around these days when it comes to cars. There's all kinds of, it used to be, you got a Ford, you got a Chevy, you got a Buick. Now it's Fiats and Kias and models all over the places, and XLs and ELs and XXLs and fat people's cars, whatever the case. You've got 20 million models. You have to be a brain surgeon to be able to work on anything anymore. You know, I never was a person that worked on cars because I don't trust myself, because that's not my area of expertise. I can put gas in them. That's about it. But you know, these big-time car repair places, the dealerships and the car repair place, they can smell somebody coming in that don't know what they're talking about. For example, one time I went in, it took me 45 minutes to get blinker fluid. For heaven's sake, nobody was willing to help me at all. Have you ever gone on a search for blinker fluid?
No.
Well, it's tough to find, but I'll tell you what. They want to charge you out the ass, but at rockauto.com, everybody gets low prices. The professional mechanics and the jack-off the street, just like all of you folks. I'm talking to you out there. If you identify as a jack-off the street, rockauto.com is the place you need to go for parts for your car, because they've got everything from engine control modules and brake parts to tail lamps and motor oil, even new carpet. They've got crankshafts. And if you don't have a crank, they've got a crank for your shaft. The rockauto.com catalog is unique, and it's easy to navigate. It's almost as good like Hotchkiss Featherbottom built this site for them. You can see all the parts available for your vehicle, choose the brands, the specifications, the prices you prefer, because they've got the same low prices for professionals and the do-it-yourselfers. So if you want to risk your life and limb by repairing your car on your own, just let me know about it so I can stay off the highway when you immolate into flames. But nevertheless, why spend up to twice as much for the same parts and get some shade tree mechanic to do it for you when you can fuck it up just as well as anybody else? So do it yourself. Go to rockauto.com right now, and you can see all the parts available for your car or truck, and you can save money that you can use for other important things like mortgage, food, hospital bills from the wreck that you'll have when you fuck up your own repairs, but the parts will be perfect. Why would you choose to spend 30%, 50%, 100% more for the exact same auto part at a chain store or new car dealership when you can go to rockauto.com and save money? Or even better yet, most of you people out there save lives. Don't drive at all. But if you're going to drive, fix your car with parts from Rock Auto. Amazing selection, reliably low prices. And when you go to rockauto.com and you buy these parts to fix your car, there's a little box on there that says, "How did you hear about us?" Type JCE in that box so that they know that we sent you. They're not going to give you a penny off, but not because they're cheap bastards and assholes about the whole thing, but because they're already so cheap with all of their prices to every mark that walks in the door that fuck, the next step is for them to pay you to take this shit off their hands. So it can't get any cheaper. You can't get a discount on practically nothing, for heaven's sake. Go to rockauto.com, type JCE in the box on how did you hear about us, but that won't help you because you're already going to get a great price because this shit is cheap. Not in quality, but in price. RockAuto.com, by the way, also is for everybody, and you don't have to have a membership or account login. All those mysterious things that a lot of websites want you to do. You don't have to have any of that. No membership, no account login. Money, you got to have that shit, or they're going to drop you like a bad habit. But anyway, RockAuto.com, amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. RockAuto.com.
Don't forget the .com. That's right.
Don't forget the .com.
And don't forget to let them know you heard about it here on JCE, or the Drive-Thru as we call it here on this day of the week.
Yes, but you got to type that in the "How did you hear about us" box so they know that you're somebody.